Hi everyone, welcome to the second part of the recitation video. Today we're going to be working on example 2.excel. It's going to be a mix of the easy version with the first recitation task, and then we're going to introduce some newer functions, and then at the end I'll go over the assignment that's due on November 27th. So I want you to go to Canvas Files and then Recitation 11 folder and download the example 2.excel sheet. You're going to see a couple different sheets within that Excel file. We're going to be working on the flower shop sales. And we're going to start off with some easy things. Put in the title and put in the date. So once you open up, it should look something like this. Make it a little bit bigger. And right at the top here, you'll see your names, flower shops, input your name. So you can just name it something. And then here, you're going to insert the date. Now, sometimes it doesn't always let you double click easily. You can always just write up your text up here if it's, making you double click a lot or something like that. They both do the same thing. So you're just going to put equal to today. And that's just going to input today's date. So if you're working on the 14th, it'll show up on 14th or 15th or whatever day you're doing this. Okay, so before we get started with the actual calculations, I'm just going to go over what this specific flower shop sales worksheet is about. It's basically like the data that you would account for like a mini shop that sells flowers. So the type of flowers, the number of bouquets, the price, their stock, do they need to reorder? Have they sold anything? And then this part, calculating the income tax, everything, that is going to be similar to the recitation, or this recitation's first task. And then we're also going to introduce a couple new functions over here as well. So the first thing we want to do is compute the sales tax, gross income, net income, and need to reorder columns. So let's start with the need to reorder. So in the need to reorder, they want to reorder if the bouquets in stock is less than 20. So here they already have the use if function and then yes or no. So the way the if function works is you're going to put equal to, and that's going to be for any type of mathematical equations that you do. So equal to if, and it's going to pop up with a couple different parameters that would go inside this statement. So if D5 is less than 20, so you're going to have if D5 is less than 20, comma yes, and then comma no. And notice they're going to be in quotes. And the order of this matters because the first value you put in is going to evaluate when this is true. So notice it says value of true, value of false. And you put your parentheses and press enter. It says yes. So let's check it ourselves. Is 7 less than 20? Yes. So yes, you need to reorder. Now instead of doing this for all of them, again, you just click and drag. That should update for all of them. So that part is fairly simple. That is the if function in Excel. Now we also want to calculate sales tax, gross income, and net income. So over here, gross income is price times the number sold. So what is the price? So they have a price per bouquet, and then the bouquets sold. So that is going to be C5, and it'll show up here. So you don't have to actually manually calculate what address this cell is. So C5 times the bouquet sold is F5. So over here, equal to C5 times F5. And then you press enter. And notice how when I type them in, it starts to highlight the corresponding cells. So you should get something like this. And then you can click and drag down. Okay, the sales tax is the rate times the gross income. So the rate is up here. Sales tax rate is 9% times the gross income, which we just calculated. So this is where we're going to use absolute referencing. We want to always reference G1 times the gross income, which is G5. Press enter. You should get around 256. Now the only thing that I'm missing is the absolute part. So for the absolute referencing, I'll add in the dollar signs. So $G $1 times G5 should give you the same number, and then click and drag for the rest. Okay, now last one, net income is gross income minus sales tax. So that is going to be G5 minus H5. So this does not need any absolute referencing. Okay, and then click and drag to autofill. So you should have something like this. Okay. Next, we're going to use the round function to round the sales tax to 2 decimal places. So the round function is literally just the word round, and there's different ways you can do it. You can round to the right of a decimal point, round to the left of a decimal point. That's based on if you put in a positive number or a negative number. And then you can round to the nearest 2 decimal places or round to the nearest 10. So we want to round sales tax to 2 decimal places. So sales tax is over here. So to round that to 2 decimal places, I'm just going to do it in a separate cell just to show you easily. Round equal to round. And then it's going to give you 2 parameters, the number and the num digits. So for the number, let's put in the cell H5, and the number of digits you want round down to number of decimal places, press enter, 256 and 41. Now you can do that for all of these. I'm not going to do that for now, just for the sake of not repeating myself a million times. Okay, round net income by applying currency formatting. Okay, so the net income, so you're going to round this down as well, same way, and the currency formatting is going to be, I'm going to show it on one cell, but you're going to click the cell you want to apply the currency formatting. If you want for all the cells, you can highlight all of them. I just want this cell. I'm going to format cells, and it's going to give this little pop-up, and then you're just going to choose currency. And then you can switch between dollars, euros, any other type of currencies. Press OK, and it'll give you the currency format. So you can do that for this whole chart. I'm just showing this one example down here. Okay. Apply currency formatting where appropriate, apply percentage. Percentage is the same thing I went over in the last recitation video as well. You click format cells, and instead of currency, you just choose percentage. And that should update. Okay. Fill in column totals using sum. So for the need to reorder column total, use countif function to count if yes is equal to count if. Okay, so for this part, we're going to go over here. So this count column totals, we're going to use the sum function for all of these. Now, let's say we want the sum for the number of bouquets. We're going to go down here. We're going to put equal to sum, and then just select and drag. That's the fastest way to do it. And you get 144. You can do the same for price per bouquet and for bouquets in stock. Okay. Now, number of items with values, text, and numbers. Before I get to that, I just want to review one thing. This cell right here, this is E16. So it says count if E5 to E14 and yes. So what this is doing is we're using this function called count if. So we already used if statement to make these yeses and nos. And now it's going to go through this column. So that's where we have a range of E5 to E14. And then whenever it sees yes as a value, it's going to count it. So notice how we see 4 yeses. So if I X out of this, it should say 4. So that is what you're going to have right here. Count if E5 to E14, comma, yes in double quotes. And then you can just use the sum function here and the sum function there. Okay, so the number of items with values, text, and numbers. So we'll come back to this part. This is the many varieties of count functions you have. You have count A with a range, count with a range, count if, range and criteria, and count if with range and a star. So the first one, it counts if there's alphanumeric values, meaning is there any type of value, any number or text. So over here, we're going to use count A and then select the same range. So it's going to look like this. Count A, B5 to B14. So that means how many of these cells have some sort of text in it or some sort of number in it. That is all of them. So it's going to say 10. Now, what if you want only numbers? That is going to be just a count function. So you just call the same function with a different function count with the range B5 to B14. So notice how here we had count A, meaning we're counting the alphanumeric values. Here we're just counting using the count function, which means just numbers. Now all of these have numbers, so it's going to just say 10. Now if you want to count anything with text, you're going to use the count if, and then you're going to search with double quotes and then a star. So that just means there's some kind of text that's in this thing. In here there is no text, there are only numbers, so it should say 0. And then these last 3 is what I kind of just skipped over. From here, fill in median, min, and max cells using appropriate functions. That's because it's very easy to do. It's very self-explanatory. So if you want to find the median, it's just going to be the median function with the range. Notice the range is going to have colons. So B5 colon B14. These are not commas, these are not semicolons, it's colon, the 2 dots. Maximum is going to be the same thing. Max of B5 to B14 and min B5 to B14. And you can do that, click and drag for all of these values. So main idea is make sure you understand what each type of function and what it does and how to use it. Other than that, it's really self-explanatory. Okay, so the setting the landscape mode and formatting the tables. Conditional formatting and let's move this back. Sort, flower shop, in descending order. Okay, so for page setup and anything regarding formatting, you can go to File and you can go to Page Setup, and it will give you, you can choose landscape portrait, you can add margins, you can add the header and footer here. You can add custom header, you can label the pages with numbers, whatever you need. Okay. So borders and colors, I went over that in the first recitation. Wrap text. Wrap text is whenever there's an overflow, like let's say, for example, this cell has an overflow. You can just click on the cell and press wrap text and it will wrap around the text. Okay. And use conditional formatting. If reorder is equal to yes, then we want to highlight with red. So what that means is, see this list of yeses and nos we have? So if there is a reorder, we want the highlight to be yes. So what we're going to do is select all the yeses and nos. We're going to go up here to conditional formatting, and then we're going to click on it and then highlight cell rules. And then if you hover over that, you can press equal to. Now here, you want to highlight in red if the value is yes. So you should type in exactly the word yes, and it should highlight exactly 4 yeses, which are all the yeses that we have. Okay, and then to sort the flower shop in any type of order. So let's say we want to sort by net income. You're going to go over here. Let's move this down. And then you press sort and filter, and you can sort from A to Z or Z to A. And those will sort all the values for you. Okay. Next, we're going to move on to the grades worksheet. So notice down here you have other worksheets. We just worked on flower shop sales. Moving down to grades. Okay. Now in the grade worksheet, we want to learn about merging cells and using the wrapping. Wrapping is kind of what I covered before. Let's say you want to wrap all of this, you just press wrap text. Now merging cells, it's not going to work here, but let's say you just had some random content. You want to merge a bunch of cells first. You just collect your vertical cells and then you press merge in center, you click on the down arrow next to it, and you press merge cells. That'll become one big huge cell, and then you can put in text. So for this one, you can create another merged cell and then add in your notes in there. Okay. Add borders, coloring, and centering. That is something we already went over. Landscape mode, we already know how to do that. I'm not going to go over it right now because that's not necessary. Okay, let's go to the gradebook worksheet. And then here we're going to use the Vlookup function. So I'm going to just go straight to the solution page because it's easier for me to show it from there. So this is the gradebook worksheet. Yours is not going to look like this. This is what the finished answer looks like. Yours will be mostly empty. So we want to use this function called Vlookup. So Vlookup stands for vertical lookup, and we're going to use Vlookup to fill in the letter grade and comment columns. Vlookup has 4 different parameters: value to lookup, range of lookup table, column with data to return, and then true for range match, or false for exact match. So for this example, I'm going to kind of show you through the answer so we can kind of learn backwards. So over here we have the number of points, and let's say so we have the number of points listed out, we have the grade and distinction or the comments, and this will be empty for you. So now to get the grade without manually filling it in, we're going to use Vlookup B2. So B2 is going to be the value to look up. Now B2 is referencing this cell right here. So we're looking at that value using the grades chart, absolute referencing A4 and B8, A4 to B8. So now what is A4 to B8? If we go to the grades chart, you'll find that make this bigger. A4 is starting over here and B8 ends over here. So it's literally collecting this whole table to search through. So A4 to B8, and we want to match to the second column when it's true. So what that kind of means in simpler terms is we're to fill in this cell, we're referring to this table. Now we know the grade is 96 because we got that from B2, and we're referring to this table, and we want to find the range of where 96 falls in. So 96 would fall over here, and the number 2 was because we want to use the second column to fill in the cell that we're in right now, because the second column holds the grade. So you put in the number 2, and then that is going to give you A for the letter grade. And then the same thing is going to happen with the comment, except we're looking at C2. Now C2 is meaning we already have the grade and you want to attribute a comment to that. So we're going to the grades sheet with absolute referencing A13 to B17 on the second column. So let's go to A13 to B17, this whole thing. So now they got an A, so that means their comment is distinction. So that is what is going to show up over there. So you can do that for all of these. You can click and drag and that should update. Because Vlookup has a lot of parameters, it's good to practice. Okay. So the next part is fill in the average, median, min, max cells with the correct formulas. So we should still be in the gradebook worksheet. So again, the average, median, max, and min are all going to be the same thing we did before, literally the exact word of the function. Average, and then B2 to B12. So if you want to find the average of these scores, you just put in the function name and then click and drag to select the range. Median is the same thing, max is the same thing, min is the same thing. So that's all very self-explanatory. Okay, so use count ifs to complete cells B20 to B25. Okay, so now we're finding the number of people who got a certain grade, number of people who failed, number of A's, B's, and so on. So when you're usually finding the number of something or counting something, you would use the COUNTIF function. So if you look up here, because it's kind of overflowing with another cell, COUNTIF B2 to B12, and then greater than equal to 60. Notice it's not actually looking for the text greater than equal to 60, it is comparing from whatever value we get in B2 to B12, and if that value is greater than equal to 60. So B2, for example, 96 is greater than or equal to 60. Yes, so now it's going to increment that counter. And it's going to count all the values that are greater than or equal to 60, which are going to be about 9 of them because the only one that isn't is 34. And you're going to do the same for number of failing. Less than 60, you count the number of A's. Now here it is searching for the exact value. So that's why you just have the letter A in here, and we are changing our range of searching to the C column where we actually have the letter grades. So it's going to go through this column using the COUNTIF function from C2 to C12, and if it finds the letter A, it's going to increment the counter, so it should have about 4 A's, and we see the number 4. Now the rest of them are all going to be the same. Just replace the A, B, C, and D's. Okay. Format the table. So yes, change the colors, put in a border, make it look nice, maybe change the font. Sorting by highest grade. So sorting again is you're going to you're going to highlight over the number of points, and then you're going to use the sort and filter, and you can use it A to Z or Z to A, which is increasing or decreasing order. Okay. And the last one is going to be the loans worksheet. So for that one, a lot of it is completed for you. So you'll see the blank portion for these columns. This is the answer, so I have all of them down. But for you, APR and monthly payment and monthly insurance should all be blank. Okay. So what we want to do is first do APR. APR stands for annual percentage rate column, and complete the APR column using Vlookup function to get the APR corresponding to the number of years for each customer based on the years to rate table. Okay, so we're using Vlookup again. Now to get the APR, this is a little bit more complicated because now we have some division involved. but kind of take your time to understand this. Okay. So for the first one, we're doing Vlookup F9. So F9 is the number of years. And then the range of D4 to E6. Now D4 to E6 is this red highlighted range. So notice how like it's F9 is in blue, this cell is in blue, this is in red, this is in red. As soon as you click on it, it automatically searches for the ranges or values you're looking for, which makes it easy. So it's taking the number of years, and then we're looking through this table to find the rate. And we're going to correspond or kind of return whatever is in this second column. So that's what the 2 is for. So right now we have 25. We know 25 would be around a 6.75. So if I X out of this, you should have 6.75%. Now the other ones are going to be the same. You can just click and drag. You only have to do one and then click and drag for the other. Notice there is absolute referencing here because that's why you need the $signs in front of the column and then the row, column letter and row number. That means you only want to reference these exact cells even if you move on to the next row. Okay. And the last part is going to be the monthly payment and the monthly insurance column. So the monthly payment column. So we have a PMT function, which stands for payment function, and needs 3 main parameters: interest rate, number of payment periods, and present value, or the loan amount. So that we need all of that to calculate the monthly payment. Okay, so if you double click on monthly payment, we're going to see the PMT function. Now I'm going to do G9 divided by B5. So what is G9? G9 is this one. The APR divided by B5, the number of payments per year. So notice there's like a lot of math that goes on in this example. So if you're not familiar with some of the formulas, I suggest maybe do a little bit of research on what APR is and how this payment calculation works, because a lot of usage for the Excel sheet is for the finance sector and creating a lot of simplified versions so you don't have to do the actual math. Excel does it for you. Okay, next is F9 times B5. F9 is the number of years times B5, which is the number of payments per year. And then we have D9. D9 is the amount financed, or the loan amount, which is what they said. So the interest rate, number of payment periods, and the present value, or the loan amount. So once you do all that, press enter, and you should get the monthly payment value. And then you can click and drag for the rest of these. And initially you'll just have numbers. You won't get the $signs and the commas and the periods. Later you can go back to formatting the cells and choose the currency option. Okay, and lastly is monthly insurance column. So it's commonly known as PMI and is calculated as follows: the loan amount times the monthly insurance rate. So we already figured out monthly insurance rate is going to be absolutely referencing B6 divided by B5. So what is B6 and B5? It is the number of the insurance rate divided by the number of payments per year, and that is going to be the monthly insurance rate. Now the loan amount is already set in D9. This is D9. So all you're going to do over here is you're going to do D9 times, absolutely referencing B6 divided by B5. That will give you monthly insurance, and you just click and drag for the rest of them. And that should fill your loans table. Now you can go back in and then change the colors, add some borders, make it look all nice, but that's up to you for this recitation assignment. Other than that, we are done. The only thing I want to go over is the assignment, because a lot of you said that would be helpful. So for this assignment, you're going to be downloading the Excel sheet, and there's going to be different parts. You're going to have a scorecard spreadsheet where you're going to put your name, section, honor code, and you're going to use the count if statement, or function, sorry. You're going to use the count if function, and then you're going to count the number of ranks, count for each year, for year 1, year 2, and year 3. This is easier. Okay, and a lot of this is actually kind of written out very clearly for you, so explaining is kind of me just rereading it. But a lot of the functions are everything we used: median, count ifs, sum, average. So just maybe scroll back or rewind this video if you want to check how to do that. The only thing we did not go over is charts. So charts are not part of the recitation, but will be part of your assignment. Now they're pretty easy to use, especially because the assignment PDF also gives you a detailed instruction on where to go and how to use it. But basically, after creating your table, you're going to turn those tables into charts, and you're going to have a pie chart and a clustered bar chart. And they're going to tell you almost exactly how to do it and where to put all of these information. And then you're also going to have a formulas spreadsheet. In this part, you're going to recreate these formulas in Excel. So use all the functions that we learned, and there's also a square root function, and also refer to lectures. So not everything you learn in recitation is going to carry on to the assignment, and not all the lesson plan is covered in recitation all the time. So if you don't understand something, or something was not covered, it was most likely covered during lecture. So go attend your lectures or get lecture notes. Make sure you review that. Okay, other than that, that's it for the assignment. Always email me if you have any questions. And other than that, have a good day. Bye.